If you're an author who's considered going on some sort of retreat or mastermind, listen up, because I'm going to tell you why that is the worst idea you've ever had in your entire life and why you don't want to do that. I am Kate. I've been publishing since 2020, and I recently went on my very first author mastermind retreat in Manzanillo, Mexico, and I want to warn everyone watching this video why you don't want to do that sort of thing, especially if you're trying to make being an author a full-time career. The first thing that's really important to know is that you are going to be fairly isolated from the world that you're used to. This isn't going to be a familiar environment. You also need to know that these masterminds require travel. I was traveling for 12 hours each way to get to this mastermind, and that was with flights. The flights took hours and hours. The plane was not all that comfortable, and traveling airports can be really anxiety inducing if you aren't used to that sort of thing. You're also going to be spending a lot of time with people that you might only know online, or you might only vaguely know online. And unfortunately, when this type of thing happens, you're going to find out that the people that you surround yourself with in day-to-day life are not the same type of people that you're going to see on these masterminds. The people you go to a mastermind with and a retreat with are going to be people with similar goals as you, with a similar type of mindset. And that means that you're going to prepare yourself to be very uncomfortable. You are going to get called out on your bullshit. If you have been making excuses in your author career as to why you can't succeed, why you can't write that book, why you can't do exactly what you want to do, you are going to get called out, and that is such an uncomfortable situation. Actually, one of the days on this retreat, I was sitting and having a meeting with my operations manager for my business. I'm so lucky that I have this business where I can have a full-time employee, but I was called out and told, like, you're not delegating enough of your work. She's not going to hate you for giving her more tasks to complete because she's literally begging you to work. And I felt like a failure as a business owner because I was trying to juggle all of these things and I was dropping the ball on every other thing in my life constantly when I'd been paying this person full-time to do the things that I was dropping the ball on, and I couldn't be bothered to tell her that I needed her to do those things, which means she had no idea what she was supposed to be doing. And I would respond things like IDK if she asked me what she needed to do that day. It was horrible, especially because it was my fault. And just being told, hey, the problems you have are actually your own fault, was really humbling and was really terrifying. And I kind of had a mental breakdown. I also taught a workshop while I was there on TikTok for authors. And sometimes when I'm at home and I'm living just a normal person life in my, very average house that's kind of falling apart in some places and doing okay in others, I tend to forget that I'm an expert in my field and that there are people who need the information I can provide. And it was so amazing to be able to help these other authors on this retreat one-on-one and be able to show them, hey, this is how you can improve this. And then immediately start to see their work improve and see their marketing improve because I was able to help them with their TikTok strategy. If you want to learn exactly what I taught them, go ahead and check out Book Marketing Pro. It is on my website in the description below. Something else to consider when you go on one of these retreats is you're probably going to spend a lot of time sitting around, especially if you do one like I did where we rented a house on the beach and we sat there a lot. We sat sat in these lounge chairs and did nothing for hours on end other than talk about our business and our mindset. So if you're the type of person who has to be going and going and going all the time, then this might not be for you unless you find one that has a lot of excursions, a lot of activities, that's less of a like business and mindset event versus one for experiences where you're doing research for experiences for your characters and for your books. Something else to consider is if you're going somewhere tropical like I did, you are going to need a absolute ton of sunscreen. I got so horribly sunburned on day 2 of this retreat that I had to spend the rest of the week in the shade. I was using 50 SPF sunscreen and it was doing nothing for me. I was reapplying every hour and I was still so horribly sunburned that I had to stick to the shade after that. And that doesn't even include the bug bites and having to deal with mosquitoes. So if you have like a severe mosquito allergy, make sure you pack bug spray because I was absolutely eaten alive. I was itchy non-stop. You're also going to have to try new things. We had a set menu every single day for our retreat, and we would choose it the night before or 2 days before, and a lot of it meant that I was trying things that weren't necessarily in my comfort zone. With my sensory issues, I struggle a lot with trying new things to eat, and so the food thing was actually a big struggle for me, despite how incredible and amazing the chefs were in the home that we were staying in. Something else to worry about if you want to go on one of these retreats is that if you're planning on doing a ton of touristy stuff and having a packed schedule all the time, chances are you're going to be disappointed. We only went out to dinner and left the house one day the entire week we were there, and we had lunch on the beach provided by the house we were staying at, and then we had dinner at a restaurant in town. We did not go on excursions. We did not explore a whole lot because we straight up didn't have the time or energy after all of the work we were putting into our businesses. Something else you have to know is that if you go somewhere so amazing like I did, then you are going to be really freaking bummed when you leave. If you are like me and you go somewhere absolutely incredible and then have to return to a generic Midwestern town with no architectural cohesiveness, then it's gonna be a bummer when you return and you're really never going to want to leave. But I think that the worst thing about going on a retreat like this or a mastermind is that you will not be the same person when you come home as you were when you left. So much of my life changed from a single week with these other authors and business owners because like I said, I was called out on my shit. I had to deal with some feelings that I had never had to think about. I've never had to delegate tasks to an employee. I've never had to confront the realities of being a proper business owner with a successful business, and I was called out on that, and I had to learn new techniques, and I had to learn strategies, and I had to learn better ways to deal with people, and I had to learn a lot more about running my business, and I had to understand that my dreams are not for everyone, that my dreams that I have for myself might not vibe with the people who live near me, but I have these incredible, amazing people that I spent this time with who do understand, who have similar goals, who have similar mindset, and unfortunately, those aren't the people that I'm surrounded by every single day of my life. So having to understand that I wasn't going to have this support system when I got home was honestly terrifying, but also incredibly satisfying because of how much I learned and because of how much I was able to accomplish in just a short amount of time. We were there from Saturday to Saturday. It was 1 week in Mexico. It was incredible. It was terrifying. And when I say it changed me as a person, it really did. It fundamentally reset my brain and changed how I see myself as a business owner and the business that I run and my books that I write and how I'm, publishing and marketing these books and what I'm capable of achieving. So if you're considering going on a retreat, but you don't want anything to change and you don't want to confront your flaws, you might just avoid it for now. But when you're ready to change your life, to surround yourself by people who are going to help you be the best version of yourself, you might start taking a look at this sort of thing, at a retreat, at, escaping your day-to-day life and finding out what it means to really elevate yourself and your author business.